Here's a poster showing the birthplaces of the 2025-26 Leeds United squad, the team that I support in the English Premier League. It shows points and leader lines to Elland Road for all the players who've been active this year, including the ones from across the world. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for how I made this poster, techniques that you can use for your own maps of whatever topic, even other teams, I suppose. Here in ArcGIS Pro, I'll start with this geo-referenced world image that I got from NASA's Blue Marble project. It's a beautiful cloud-free mosaic of the whole world in the month of September. I'll provide a link to my geo-referenced version because I haven't been able to find it on their website lately. My goal is to make this imagery look like an illustrated poster. I'll fire up the Raster function tools because I'm going to misuse the segment mean shift tool. This strangely named tool classifies the pixels in the imagery to look like a vector tracing of the original raster source. I played around with the input properties and settled on an 18 by 18 spectral and spatial detail setting. And the resulting render looks pretty cartoonish, just what I'm looking for. What I like about raster functions is they don't create a new file. It's just a special render of the input file. I haven't made anything new, but watch out because this is a pretty big input image and the rendering can take a long time. I tweaked this cartoonized imagery's colors a bit by boosting the gamma for red, green, and blue, but a little bit less of the blue. This is a useful technique that helps you play with the hues of your imagery. Next, I added a layer from Living Atlas called Generalized Terrain and Bathymetry Hillshade. I gave it a luminosity blend mode so those image hues can inform the terrain, and then I dialed back the impact a little bit by giving it a transparency of 50%. I actually added this generalized terrain layer a second time because I wanted to bring back some richness from the hues, and I did that by giving this layer a color burn blend mode. And again, I dialed it back a little bit with a 25% transparency. After the raster function, I wasn't thrilled with how the shallow water areas looked, so I added Bathymetry Light. It's a vector tile layer that covers the whole world, but just the water features. I want to see some of the bathymetry that I've covered up though, so I'm going to make it 25% transparent. Then I added my favorite GIS layer in the whole world, Global Background, also in Living Atlas. It's just a single rectangle feature that covers the whole world. I use it all the time. In this case, I've given it a radial gradient, 50% gray at the center to black at the edges. When I give this layer a blend mode of hard light, it tricks my eyes into thinking I'm looking at a shaded sphere. And now to make this map look like it's been printed on paper, I'll add the stone texture from Living Atlas. Maybe you'll remember this texture from a previous video. I made it by taking a picture of my sidewalk. I'll nestle this texture into my map by giving it a blend mode of overlay. Looks nice and postery. Now, to give this a little bit of geographic context, I'll add human geography, dark detail, no water from Living Atlas. That's borders and stuff. And I'll give this a hard light blend mode. Hard light retains light and dark but gets rid of gray tones. I'll also add the human geography dark labels layer and give it a screen blend mode, which keeps only lightness. And I'll knock this back by giving it a transparency of 40%. Now, I'm stepping through a finished map to show you what I did, but I want you to know that all of these steps represent a bunch of trial and error. Next, I'll pull in a table with the player data in it, which includes place of birth coordinates and the coordinates of Leeds United's location, Elland Road. I used the Add XY Data option in the data dialog to convert those coordinates into points on the map. And then I styled them so they'd look like a shiny little Sonic the Hedgehog ring. I don't know, it's what I came up with. And then I used the XY to line tool to connect place of birth with Leeds UK, creating these origin destination line features. And because I wanted my map to look enthingified and globe-like, I used the world from space projection and modified it so that the projection's center coordinate was roughly over the center of mass of the players. And then I created a square layout and put my map inside it. And I positioned it so that there was enough room at the corners to show overview maps of players that have come from the other side of the world. This is a common issue in cartography. How do I build a composition where most of the geographic features are clustered and you have some geographic outliers? A standard view that shows everybody in one frame sort of misses the forest for the trees. So my composition's main map will zoom in on that forest and rely on overviews to make sure everybody's included. It's an effective layout and visually interesting. Using my project's catalog, I duplicated my map 3 times, one for each of my inset maps. And I customized their projection parameters so that they were centered exquisitely. Because this overview will live in the top left corner of the layout, I've positioned it so the player is in the bottom right corner. And I did the same sort of thing for the other 2 overview maps. And to make them look like actual spheres in the layout, I've inserted circle graphics and given them a radial fill. It's a continuous gradient that goes from dark blue in the middle to transparent black at the edges. If your layout has an overview globe, a fake little shadow effect is a really nice touch. These overviews in the layout preview might look a little silly, but remember, this will be the extent of our exported map. And then I added little callout graphics for each player, showing their name and position. I made them manually using text and rectangles. I could have relied on dynamic feature labeling with complex styles, but in this case, there weren't that many labels and I wanted full control over where they were positioned, so I just built them manually. It's a trade-off. And then I just gave it a simple title and exported it as a PNG graphic. And that's how you can make real imagery look like a poster, arrange a layout composition for a non-normal feature distribution, and how you can nthingify a map by giving it an orthographic projection and sneaky gradients.